Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Retrospective What on Earth Happened To, a series where I look at a character among the various Yu-Gi-Oh! Animes that seem to have fallen out of relevancy as the storyline went on. I have patrons of mine vote on this series, so thank you to everyone who voted in the last poll, and the winner of that poll was none other than Aki Izayoi, or Akiza Izinski, in the dub, the leading girl of the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds anime. Aki played a very major role in the first two seasons of the show, and hit the ground running. She was an independent, strong, terrifying character that had incredible progression in the first 64 episodes, all the way through the Darksiders arc. But then, something noticeably changed. The once amazing girl duelist became a shell of herself the second half of the show, as she was reduced to pretty much a glorified background character. Her feelings for Yusei were more explored, which to a degree cost her the independence that made her such an intriguing character at the start of the show. Even the graphics during the fifth and final ending refer to her as a benchwarmer. A benchwarmer, by definition, is literally a sports player who does not get selected to play, a substitute. It was very frustrating to watch the once badass Black Rose Witch get reduced to, well, just that, a benchwarmer. And even the show knew what they were doing to her character, hence the graphic we just went over. And the statistics get a bit tougher to swallow than that. After her debut in episode 14, all the way through the Darksiders arc in episode 64, she dueled a total of 7 times in a one-on-one setting. That's actually really good for a character that is not the main protagonist. A lot of healthy character focus, screen time, etc. Guess how many 1v1 duels she took part in during the final 90 episodes? 1. No, you did not hear me wrong. 1 freaking duel, which was when she dueled Ushio/Trudge to get her D-Wheel license. Just to word this a bit differently so that we can include all the duels she was in as opposed to only 1 versus 1. 10 of the first 51 episodes after her debut, she took part in some sort of duel. That's 20% of the episodes she had some sort of dueling role in. This was reduced to 4 of the final 90 episodes of the show, which is a mere 4%. So I ask you, what on earth happened to Aki Izayoi / Akiza Izinski? Let's get into some possible reasons, as well as some rumors that have spread that really don't have any merit to them in relation to the backseat she took in seasons 3, 4, and 5. I hope you all enjoy. Before I go over what I believe is probably the main reason as to why this happened, I want to go over a few different possibilities, as well as one false rumor regarding her character. There is a guy named Crow Hogan, who debuted pretty late in relation to the rest of what would eventually become Team 5Ds. There are so many rumors surrounding Crow. In fact, I already did a whole video specifically talking about him, but to sum it up quickly, there are a lot of rumors that Crow was not originally intended to have as major of a role as he ended up having. Some rumors state he was supposed to be the Darksiders boss, others state he was supposed to be an annoying, nuisance kind of character. I personally do believe that the theory of Crow not being as big of a character as he ended up being has merit, which is best supported by the fact that his signer dragon was not shown in Ruka's dream sequence, basically telling us that he was never supposed to be a signer, which in turn would have reduced his role massively. Regardless what's true and what isn't, it's very easy for me to say that without Crow around, Aki 100% would have slid into that third Team 5Ds spot. The duels against Team Ragnarok, New World, etc. would have most likely featured a dueling trio of Yusei, Jack, and Aki had Crow not been as prominent as he was after the Darksiders arc. Hell, if Crow wasn't supposed to be a signer, that Godwin duel very well could have been Yusei, Jack, and Aki. Crow's last-minute change of becoming a signer is necessary to discuss in this video because it clearly shifted the importance of an already established signer in Aki. If the team followed the original plans of keeping Crow as a non-signer, more than likely, Aki would have been the one dueling with Team 5Ds. She would have continued to grow as a duelist and as a character in the later seasons, instead of experiencing stagnation. So the seemingly last-second decision to make Crow a signer certainly harmed her relevance, and another rumor that may have hurt a possible character arc for her was what happened with Carly's voice actress. Again, did a video on it, but to quickly sum it up, her voice actress was tied to a cult, and so the Arcadia movement and Carly's character were heavily nixed because of that. Iliaster went from a cult to time travelers, yada yada yada. I'm sure most of you have heard it all by now. Whether any of that is true or not, and is the actual reason the tone of the show shifted after the Darksiders arc, we probably will never know. Regardless, some of the best character progression Aki went through was her coming to grips with her psychic powers, learning to love and trust a society that bullied her for being different and completely shunned her from their perspective. With Divine and Arcadia gone after the Darksiders arc, it left a lot to be desired there. I really thought thought Divine was going to be a major villain in the later seasons, and Aki would have to put her demons behind her one last time by infiltrating Arcadia and stopping the movement that she aided for years once and for all. Unfortunately, we never saw any of this, and we never got an arc like the Crashtown one for Yusei and Kiryu and Team Satisfaction. Of course, there's no proof that this arc was ever in the works or would have ever been explored, but regardless, it's not a crazy crack theory to think that this whole cult thing may have killed off the possibility of an Aki Divine mini-arc. Instead of what would have been an amazing focus arc for her, we got her getting her D-Wheel license in arguably the only focus episode she got until the Crow and Sherry duel towards the end of the show. Now, a rumor I do want to discuss is one I have seen on many forums, including the TV Tropes website. I have even seen people comment this on my videos before, so it's a very relevant rumor to address in this video. Aki's voice actress is Ayumi Kinoshita. There seems to be this belief that Ayumi was pregnant during the second half of 5Ds, and thus, the maternity leave she went on is a major reason as to why Aki's character wasn't utilized for a good chunk of time. By the time she came back, they were already so engraved with Crow as their third of the trio, so they never really had a spot for her. Honestly, it's not the craziest thing I've heard, but in reality, there's no truth to this whatsoever. Ayumi did not have her first child until 2014, well after Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds concluded. In fact, 2014 was practically when Zexal was ending. She didn't get married until 2012, so even the thought of her taking time off for a wedding or honeymoon is untrue as well, which is a variation I have seen some people write in my comment section. 5Ds ended in 2011, so anything in regards to her after that year is just plain untrue. So any rumors that her pregnancy interfered with Aki as a character after the Darksiders arc is completely false. Alright, so with all the possible realistic and false rumors out of the way, I am going to give you my main reason and culprit as to why Aki was so undervalued and so underutilized after the Darksiders arc. The man or woman who handles the series composition of an anime is basically the main writer of the show. They meet with the director, in this case, the director was Katsumi Ono, and discuss pacing, potential story ideas, events, all that fun stuff. So it probably won't come to you as any sort of shock that 5Ds actually had a change in main writer after the first 64 episodes, I believe. The series composer for episodes 1 to 64 through the Darksiders arc was Atsuhiro Tomiyaka. Who stepped in after those first 64 episodes? Shin Yoshida. Yoshida has done so much for Yu-Gi-Oh! He wrote Season 4 of Duel Monsters, I believe Season 4 of GX, and the second half of 5Ds, all of Zexal and all of Reign so far. He has also written the Zexal and Arc 5 mangas. The guy is a workhorse, and I think he is a pretty solid writer, but the one complaint that I have with him is he really is not good at all when it comes to writing girl characters. I think almost everyone who has watched his shows would probably agree with that, but don't take that claim from me. Take it from a better source, Shin Yoshida himself. At the end of some of the Zexal manga chapters, you can find a mini interview or a behind the scenes of Zexal written by Shin Yoshida. In Behind the Scenes of Zexal 2, found in volume 7 of the manga, Yoshida talks about how he originally wanted the girl duelist Luna to be a guy. He goes on to say, "It's true that, left to my own devices, my stories have few female characters. Oops." Hey, I mean, at least he's transparent that girls take an unintentional backseat in his stories. So in my opinion, Yoshida takes over the writing in Season 3 of 5Ds, and thus, Aki suffers because of it. A writer who forgets to include females in his stories, as he literally just said, just forgot to write any solid focus episodes or duels for her the final 2 years of the show. I will say, Aki did have a good moment against Sherry when she finally got a handle on her psychic powers, as well as going on to become a doctor in the future. Unfortunately, a character that started so fantastically, and a character that ended pretty strongly, just had absolutely no middle substance whatsoever. I think that Yoshida becoming the main writer, along with Crow becoming a signer, are the two things that make the most sense in answering the question of this video. However, at the end of the day, all we can really do is speculate, seeing how there is no concrete evidence for any of this. And thus, we will always be left to wonder what on earth happened to the Black Rose Witch, Aki Izayoi, Akiza Izinski. And that about wraps it up. I hope you all enjoyed the second part of my Yu-Gi-Oh! Retrospective series. If you have any characters you want to see me do for this series, please comment them down below. The next poll should be up on my Patreon in the very near future. And please let me know down below what you think happened to Aki and why her production and focus took a hard shift, a hard negative shift, after the Darksiders arc. Do you agree with my points, or do you have a different theory as to why this may have happened? Really excited to hear from all of you down below. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons Lexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, Samuel Stark, Thomas Adderley, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, and Vincent Van Der Veen, and to my Diamond tier patron Jesse Wood, and to my Egyptian God tier patrons Syn Cloud and Chris Swan. A huge thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon. I cannot tell you how much it helps the channel and keeps the channel alive. And a huge thank you to everyone who just watches these videos, because without you guys, I would not be able to do this. I will talk to you all down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. 早めに捨てよう明日に進むだけだから自分らしさ探してゆく